organization, since there are only 3 teams competing for the title of Miss World Philippines, how would you be choosing the winner? Do they have to be one of the semi-finalists or finalists?
There are only 3 teams, no? So they have to be part of the semi-finalists. And then after that, we'll choose. Actually, the founder and the chairman of the ECHO International will be one of the judges. So I will ask her na lang, who do you think among the 3 will be the best representative for the Philippines? And then we'll just, yun na lang. I think only 3 lang eh. So siya nang pumili. And but we can ask also the vote also of all the 13 judges, plus her vote. I think that's the best, just to be fair to everyone. Thank you.
I'd like to ask Michelle and Kelly and Isabel.
Number 1, 24, and 21.
Do you think being actors is an advantage? Do you think you have an edge over the other candidates just because you're used to facing the cameras?
Actually, Michelle and I have talked about this. We have a pressure in the sense that people expect a lot from us because we're used to being in front of the camera, or we're used to memorizing lines or whatever it might be, talking to people, talking to press. But pageantry for me is like an entire different thing. You change your mindset. You focus on something completely different. And I think that's where the challenge comes from. On top of that, we do have the pressure. But I think that it kind of has pros and cons of being an artista, because yes, we have experience, but also there is a lot of pressure on us. But I think everyone has their own pressures, so I think we all have fair game for everyone.
Well, like Kelly said, I mean, it does have its own pros and cons, but honestly, we're in a room full of beautiful and talented people. We have nurses, we have lawyers, and we all go through the same type of training. We all go through different steps for the journey to be Miss World or to have one of the other crowns. And yes, it's kind of hard because you're put under the spotlight and you have certain expectations that are put on your head, not only being an artista, but my family members as well. They're very good and very well known in the pageant industry, and that adds an extreme amount of pressure on my head. And actually, it's one of those reasons why I've been hesitant to join, because I feel like, well, prior to this, I felt like I wasn't good enough. But what the pageantry has taught me is that besides being an artista and besides having all of these expectations, it's really, like one of the other girls mentioned, it's really about the journey. It's really about what you can take from everything. So although being an artista has its slight advantage with publicity and all of that, I really do believe na pantay lang po yung laban dito.
I believe that it is a fair game. We all have our strengths and weaknesses, and I'm just really grateful for all these beautiful candidates who are helping each other out, and these are very, very talented. So I think it's a fair game. There are pros and cons, but at the end of the day, we all just have to enjoy, and the people would see that when we're on stage. So thank you, po.
One last, or
kay
Michelle
di po, at Isabel de Leon. Isang tanong, ako nga po pala si Conan, ang tatis ng Conan Daily. Maaari niyo ba kaming bigyan ng isang bagay tungkol sa lungsod o bayan na nire-representa niyo na pinagmamalaki?
Well, prior to moving back here, I was born here in the Philippines, but I was raised in the States. And ever since I moved back here, I've been a Makati girl. I I've never known I've never lived anywhere else than Makati, and honestly, even though so many people dislike Makati because of their traffic or because it's always, let's say, magulo, but I love the tenacity of the people that are there. I love the fact that everybody feels so driven. Everybody has their own purpose. Everybody just inspires me. It kind of reminds me of whenever I walk in the streets of New York, where everybody is so passionate about what they do, where everybody really just has their own place and that they're really fighting for their place. And that's why I really love Makati, and that's why I'm very proud to represent the city. Thank you.
My family lives in Samar. My mom and my grandfather, my great-grandfather lives in Samar, Barangay Samar. But I vote in QC, and I grew up in Quezon City. It's a fun place. All my work is there. It's nearby, and it's a very colorful city, Quezon City. That's why I chose to represent Quezon City.
Salamat.
Thank you.